I want to ask you a question. It's going to be a little bit difficult to understand at first, but if you had to write down the names of the 100 households that could carry your entire life insurance business for the next 3 years, could you actually do it? And I'm not talking about 100 leads, not 100 phone numbers of a purchase list, 100 specific families whose situation you actually understand, whose problems you could describe in one sentence, and also like whose life you could genuinely make better by what you sell. And most agents can't answer that question, and that is the reason the life insurance business feels heavy. So this idea comes from a guy named Shed Holmes, and the way he taught it is that the real leverage in a business comes from picking a small, deliberate list of the people who could most benefit from what you do and showing up in their world consistently over and over and over and over again with something useful until they know you, until they trust you, and until they buy from you. And I want to walk you through what that looks like when you translate it into life insurance. And I want to give you a version of what we're talking about using one specific type of household so that you can see the mechanics and copy them for whatever specialty you decide to build. So I have been an agent for 6 years. I spent like $61,000 in ads and generated over 13,000 leads for my own business. And the thing that surprised me the most was that the 13,000 leads didn't make me feel more secure. They made me feel more scattered. Because when you have a giant pile of leads, you cannot possibly show up meaningfully in the life of any single one of them. You just kind of cycle through the pile. You call, they answer, some of them don't answer, you move on, you call the next one, and the whole business becomes kind of like a treadmill of contact attempts with strangers. He was pointing at the idea that if you pick a small enough group, the right people, and you commit to teaching them and helping them and also staying in front of them for a long enough period of time, the math flips. And the math doesn't only flip, the math flips in your favor because you're no longer competing with every other person selling life insurance. You are the person they think of when the topic comes up because you're the only person who has actually been useful to them all year. So I'm going to pick one specific type of household so that you can see what the mechanics look like, I guess, when they hit the ground. So let us pick, and I'm going to give my example because this is my niche, parents of children with special needs. This is a real specialty. These are families who need a plan. Very few agents actually understand. And once they trust you, they refer you inside their community because that community is tight. And not only tight, it's vocal and looks out for each other. So the Dream 100 for an agent focused on this specialty would be 100 specific households in your service area where there is at least one child with a diagnosed special need and where the parents are in the age band that makes life insurance planning realistic, and where the family has enough of an income or an asset base to actually be able to fund the plan with life insurance. And once again, we're not talking about a list of 100 phone numbers. That is a list of 100 households with names, ages, addresses, and one line about the situation. They have a child with special needs. The question is, how do you build that list? And the honest answer is that you build it by doing the boring work most agents refuse to do. You call the local special needs school and ask if you can donate a workshop on financial planning for families. You go to a parent support group meeting and just listen for a few months. You reach out to the special needs attorneys in your city and tell them that you focus on the life insurance side of the planning and that you would love to be the person they refer to when a family needs that piece of planning. You look at the local chapter of every special needs advocacy group and become a familiar face at their events. You read the community Facebook groups and pay attention to which parents are the connectors, like the ones other parents ask questions to. And slowly, over a few months, the 100 names fill in. Not from you purchasing data from actual proximity to the community. And once the list exists, the second half of the strategy is what Shaq called the education-based marketing. And this is where most agents get scared because they are in a regulated industry. We're in a regulated industry. And most agents think that the compliance rules mean they cannot do this. And that is not true. You can absolutely do this in life insurance. You just have to build the right pieces the right way. What you cannot do is send promises about returns or make specific product claims. What you absolutely can do, on the other hand, is teach families how the planning process works, what a life insurance policy does when it comes to this type of scenario, what the difference is between term and permanent for this kind of situation, and even like what the mistakes look like when a family does nothing. And that is the flip between you giving like advice and like an education that's helpful. And it is the exact thing that this audience is desperate to receive because their attorney gives them a bill, their pediatrician gives them a referral, and nobody is actually walking them through the architecture of protecting their child for life. So here's what the monthly, quarterly, and annual cadence looks like in real terms. Every month, what you can do is you can send a one-page letter to those 100 households, not just an email blast. You can send them a real physical letter with your name, and not only your name, a photo at the top, a photo of yourself, and one specific topic explained in plain English. 1 month, for example, in my scenario, it is what a first-party special needs trust does and when it applies. The next month, it is what the able account contribution limits are for the year and how they interact with government benefits. And once again, these are all terms that maybe you don't understand just yet. That's fine. That's because that is my niche. And just like in my niche, the people that I work with need help. In every single niche, there is a specific area in their life where they need help. And not only do they need help in that specific area of their life, life insurance could be a solution to the problem that they're trying to solve. You just have to focus on finding that one niche, finding that one specific dream client that you want to serve, and coming up with the Dream 100. And the Dream 100 is what he refers to like the list of 100 organizations that have already congregated a list of your dream customers. And I'll give you another example. I worked with a lot of construction companies when I started in the life insurance business. Now, how can I find different associations? How can I find different groups? How can I find different organizations that already have a list of all of the construction companies in the area? So as opposed to me having to look for construction companies individually and trying to sell to them, I can just go to one organization, to one association that has congregated a list of my 100 dream clients, and I just go to their events and I can talk to 100 clients at once, right? So for example, going back to the niche that I work with currently, the special needs niche, I can do all of that, like the letters, the able account. The next month, it is like how to think about naming a guardian and what the paperwork actually says. Like each letter is one page, education only, you're not trying to pitch, and it ends with something like, hey, if this brought up questions about your family, specific to your family, my office door is open. And once again, that is only like 12 letters a year to 100 families, to 100 of your dream clients, and it costs almost nothing to run. Every quarter, you send a case study letter, and by case study, I mean like not fabricated testimonial. I mean a real anonymous walkthrough of a planning situation, something like a family in this area with 2 children, one with autism, one that doesn't have autism, structured the following 3 pieces of the plan in this specific way, and here's what the trade-offs were, and here's what they wish they had known earlier. Does that make sense? And you can remove the names, you can round the numbers. You send 4 of those a year, mailed to the same 100 families, and every one of those letters is proof, without you having to say the word proof. And the crazy thing is that it's proof that you have actually done this work with real families that are like them and know what you're doing. And then once a year, you invite those 100 families, what I would call a family financial fire drill, Not a seminar, not a webinar, a structured 90-minute working session, either in person at a nice conference room or on Zoom. I do a lot of conferences on Zoom, where you walk them through a live scenario together. What happens if a parent passes tomorrow? Who gets called? What does the child's benefit situation look like in the first 30 days? What paperwork needs to be in the binder? Where does the trust sit? Who is the successor trustee? And once again, you're not sitting in that room, you're running the drill. And the parents who show up will remember it for the rest of their lives. Because for the first time, somebody actually laid the whole picture out in front of them. And that single annual event is the highest leverage marketing that you will do all year, because it converts education into felt urgency without ever having to pressure anyone. And more specifically, like when you're doing it in a room, a lot of people that look just like them, they see you as someone who has authority in the eyes of the market that you're trying to serve. And not only that, I mean, you can get a lot of, I heard someone say this in a video recently, that you can get a lot of cool pictures, that you speaking on stage with a lot of your dream clients listening to you, and imagine what you can do with all those pictures, right? And underneath all of that, you keep a simple record. You know when each of the 100 households received each letter. You know which ones opened up a conversation with you. You know which ones are actively engaged. And also like which ones are still just receiving mail. And over 12 to 24 months, what happens is the list starts producing business. Not all at once, never all at once actually, but steadily. Right? And households come to you because they have been reading your letters for a year. They have seen your case studies. They have been to the fire drill event that you ran. And when the moment finally arrives, they are ready to plan. There is exactly one name in their head, and it's yours. And when they refer their friend from the special needs parent support group, that friend already knows your name too, because that friend was probably on the list. But the way to think about all of this is that most agents run their business on volume and hope. Volume of leads and hope one of them buys today. This flips the whole thing because you pick 100 households, you commit to the most useful person they hear from all year long. You send letters, you send case studies, you host the financial fire drill for this specific group of people, and you let the math of consistent, specific, valuable contact do its like slow, patient work in the background while you sleep. And that is the actual game. So if you're gonna do one thing this week, sit down with a blank sheet of paper and try to name the specialty, like the niche that you wanna work with, one specific type of household, business owners who need a buy-sell agreement, doctors with disability, insurance planning gaps, parents of a child with special needs, attorneys and CPAs who could refer you. So you pick one, just one, and you start the list. You don't need 100 names by Friday. You need the first 10 by Friday, and plan for like how to find the next 90 or the next 6 months. And that is where the whole thing begins. And by the way, now with the help of AI, you can find 100 literally by tomorrow. So let's get to work. You got this. I'm rooting for you.